Hello and welcome back to My Own Worst Enemy. It is unboxing day again at the Armchair Dragoons, and I am unboxing for them Axis Empires, the Ultimate Edition. Yes, I did back this and have received it. Just took the shrink off of it, set it on the table, and we're ready to take a dive in here and see what we get. This is a very heavy box, major poundage here. There's a lot in here though, so that's why. And looking on the back here, we can see that this includes the Totaler Krieg, Daisenso, Schiffskrieg, and Dice of Decision 2. And I am not familiar with these bottom two. I do own actually Daisenso. I own a copy of that. I've never played it, but I do own an unpunched copy of Daisenso. I do not own the Totaler Krieg, the expansion Schiffskrieg. I'm not quite sure what that is. And then Dice of Decision, I've heard, is an expansion that allows you to create alternate starts to World War II, so that sounds like sounds like that's worth the price of admission alone to me. I love that kind of stuff. You're going to get 4 large map sheets, 20 map variant overlay sheets, 2,380 counters, 3 6-sided dice, 5 rules booklets, 500 playing cards. Okay, there's going to be a lot of card sleeving going on for me, it looks like. 30 player aid sheets and storage bags, which probably won't get used. I'll probably use some sort of storage solution. Maybe Cube for me will have something for this. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Let's go ahead and crack into this thing. And right off the top, we see those rules booklets. And they are booklets. They're not very thick. Well, they don't look like they're very thick, but maybe they are. We'll have to look at the size of the print once we get in there. Let's just go ahead and slide this out of the way and just take it as we discover it. And I will get the shrink off of these rule book, and we will start with the actual core rules and the Dice of Decision module rules. So we'll take a look at that in a second. Let's look at the core rules first. This is how many pages are we talking here? It's like around 60. It's a matte, not a glossy finish, just a matte finish. Nice table of contents I am seeing here. Housekeeping rules, the core game mechanics, optional rules. So around page 57, there's some optional rules. Doesn't look like there's a whole heck of a lot of those. Or rather, I should say there's several, but they're not, they go from page 57 to 62, so not a whole lot of optional rules. So yeah, it's just really the back end of that. And we'll just do a quick flip to take a look at what kind of artwork we are going to find. So nice colorful artwork. And we're looking for things like, what are the gray boxes for one thing? Clarifications and designer notes, those are things we look for. Some nice artwork inside the paper here. Overall, looks like a decent rule book. We won't know until we actually get into this thing and start reading it. And I do see that it does have the section numbers. Now, I think it's Old School Tactical has something similar to this, but Old School Tactical, that rule book is awesome because it actually goes even further, breaking down these numbers into easy to find information, but this one may be like that. So like I said, we will certainly give it a more in-depth review when we get this thing to the table, but not a bad looking rule book. And the Dice of Decision. So this to me is really, really what I was looking forward to. This alternate setup to World War II, and table of contents in this one is very, very large. There are 64 pages. And as I understand it, you play through this first. I don't think this is a separate game. I think this is just an expansion to set up a game of Axis Empires Ultimate Edition. And again, it's the same sort of rule book. And I'm not even going to attempt to describe what you do here, other than it's just that you will set up an alternate history type thing for Axis Empire. So I'm looking forward to giving that a try. Probably the first thing I try, just to go through some random setups without actually playing a game. And in that last, or the second rulebook collection, we have the exclusive rules, it looks like, for Daisenso and Totaler Krieg. So I will probably jump into Daisenso first, being a Pacific War junkie. And it's just more the same. These rulebooks are about 47 pages each. 55, so pretty much same size rule books for all of these. Political events, training. So here's something that's nice, and I like to see this in these games, and we'll look at Total Krieg in just a second. There are training scenarios. So that's good. That'll help. Let's turn to one real quick. That'll help you learn the game faster, I hope, because this is a rather large game. Units and marker setup, axis faction setup, 4 turns. So it looks like then there's a 2-map campaign game. I'm looking, so maybe there's just the one tutorial scenario. Did I read that right? Or am I reading that right? The Tora, yes, that is the training scenario, and I'm assuming there would be one in Totaler Krieg as well. Training scenarios. So there's more than one training scenario in the European version, the European War, Totaler Krieg. But all right, so that's cool. More rules. So that rule book that was 60 pages, really, with you add on those rules to it, it's 60 times 3, about 120 pages of rules, maybe. And here's the Schiffskrieg module rules. I'm not quite sure what this might be. We're going to discover that together. Schiffskrieg is a supplemental module for Axis Empires. It's for players who want a more detailed treatment of air and naval warfare. It introduces counters for individual ships down to the heavy cruiser level and component air units. Hallelujah is all I can say. This is kind of stuff I like to see too. So apparently you're going to be able to play with an abstracted naval air system in the base game, which I just put the rule books down for. This will actually let you have individually named ships, which thematically I love. And again, we're looking at another 40, 50, 55 pages here. So that's awesome. I do like to see that. Like there's some additions there as well, maybe some scenario additions, which would make sense since you're adding more ships and more planes. So this is really, really cool looking. All right, continuing into the box, we have, looks like a big, thick, plastic wrapped, sealed stack of player aid cards. And this is really nicely, I'll show you the counters here real quick. They're like this too. They're sealed in this plastic to protect them in shipping, and that's pretty cool. I'm not sure if I've seen this from Decision Games before. So ripping that plastic off, Axis Empires component list. So that's kind of cool. The list of what you should have in the box, symbology, nothing on the back of that. See, support unit and convoy marker aid card. And I think there's going to be all manner of aid cards in this thing. Deck building chart. There are cards in this game, which we will see in just a second. You saw that there were 500, it said, on the back of the box, which, like I said, that's going to be a lot of card sleeving and compressing for me. Western Allies deck building for Totaler Krieg. Yeah, this is just chart after chart after chart. Game creation table. So this is probably for the Dice of Decision expansion. So I'm not even going to try to read all the possible options here. You're going to have to read those on your own. Narrative tables, that sounds awesome. Outcome checklist. See, outcome of the Great War. So the Great War can end differently. And then between the wars, things that happen to change the map. Final setup for Totaler Krieg. Area tables. We're just going to kind of speed this up now. And here's the Daisenso stuff, which it looks like that's a pretty chunky player's aid card, but a very nice card. These cards are nice. They're the thick cardboard, heavy cardboard paper. Sort of a, they're matte with just a very slight gloss to them, so they should stand up to the test of time. We would hope anyway. So far, quality components, which you would expect at the price point this game was, but then again, at the price point you are getting basically 3-4 games with some expansions, so I don't think that was too bad. Force pool stuff, conditional events, and what in the world am I looking at? Strategic Hex Tracker. The Axis, the Western, and the Soviets. These look like major cities to me, so I'm assuming that Allied collapses, military takeovers. I'm assuming these would be cities that you would want to hold in a game of Daisenso, which makes sense now that I'm looking at it. Nothing on the back of that. That's cool. So if you're trying to determine at a glance how many more cities you may need to take for a victory, I guess you just look at that card, and that's going to help you out immensely. More display charts for, so basically you're getting these player aid cards for both the games in the box. And I can imagine that if you played a combined game of this, that you would have to have, at minimum, 2 full-size tables. One just to hold all of these cards. So yeah, this is just more the same. We won't go through these one by one. Force pools for both of the games included. This is a shipbuilding track, so this may be used with the Schiffskrieg that we saw. You can actually build individual level ships. Maybe it's used in the regular game too, who knows. All right, so let's keep moving here. Keep moving rapidly through this. There's a lot to cover. Let's look at the counters next, and I got to get the plastic off of those. And all right, so we've got, well, there's half a counter sheet. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.5 counter sheets. So let's just start from the top here and take a quick look at what we are seeing. This looks like just some informational type markers, but I'm also seeing some armies there, possibly from the minor powers that'll play a role in this game. I'll let you see these close up. Now, I'm also noticing this is decision games, and if I am not mistaken, most of the decision games, if not all, have been the white core, really flimsy counters. These are thicker, and they're the brown core cardboard, if you can see that. Probably can't. But these are a little bit thicker and nicer counters, I believe. They are 1/2 inch, but they are very nice looking counters, and it looks like they will possibly punch easy. I don't see the little center nibs that you see usually with these 1/2 inch counters. It looks like there's just the 4 corners. So that is a good thing to note. Daisenso counters. So we see the Japanese and again some more minor countries to the side. I will let you take a close-up look at these. Very nice looking counters. The back sides. More Daisenso, the Allies. I see Britain and I see the US there. Informational type counters, more minor countries, I'm assuming. Backs of those counters. See a devastation marker. Totaler Krieg, that better be the Germans. And then there's France off to the right there. Very nice counters. I'm kind of going through these fast because there are a lot. More counters, the British, the United States. This is, of course, Totaler Krieg. Very easy to read text on those counters for the old eyes in my head. And this is Blitz markers and some more Russia. There's minor countries. We'll let you take a look at those as well. Very pleased with the quality of counters in this game. Some more Schiffskrieg counters. There's Japan, France, Italy. So these are the individually named ships. We'll take a quick look here. See that the carriers are all here. They look like they are, well, yeah, they're here. They're all here. I was looking for the light carriers, and they're right there in front of me in light gray below those black ones at the top. So that is cool. Of course, this would be the American counters for the Schiffskrieg, the individually named counters in the air groups. And that is a lot of ships, people, so that is a good thing to see. Dice of Decision. So we're going to have special counters for Dice of Decision. So this is what you will use when you are setting up your alternate history for World War II. And I am looking forward to giving this a try. So there you go. That's the counter sheets. We're getting towards the bottom of the box now. In fact, the only thing left, and this is the box, are the, well, there's the maps, of course, but there are these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 decks of cards. Yikes. And like I said, I've got a lot of sleeving ahead. So it looks like you're going to get decks for Totaler Krieg and Daisenso. So that would make sense that you could play either or both. And then Totaler Krieg. So I'm going to just grab, let's grab the Western Allies and then the Frontiers of War deck. So you get 3 decks for each of the games, and then a Fortunes of War deck, which is probably just some sort of random event thing. Yeah, so play during friendly political event segment, roll 1 die, and discover what happens. I love this kind of stuff in a war game. I love the randomization stuff, so that's what this is. But let's take a quick look at let's look inside the Western Allies deck for Daisenso to see what we might get. All right, and so these are nice poker style cards. They are the glossy protected. They are a little, they're not as plasticky feeling as I normally like to have on these cards. They're a little more papery feeling. It's hard to describe what that means other than they're a little thinner and feel like they would tear easier than some of the higher quality poker cards. So there's the back. Of course, the backs look nice, the nice thematic artwork. And here's what the inside of that would look like. So again, these are all cards for the Western Allies in Daisenso, or for Daisenso. So Chinese Ultimatum, Reinforcements, Nationalist China, Posture is Resistive, Victory Point Markers, Axis Table, some optional stuff in here as well, it looks like. So cool, that's really neat. Let me get the cards out of the way because now we're getting down to the maps, and I'm curious to see what the maps look like. I know what they look like in Daisenso. They're not too bad. So here's the little baggies, which probably will not get used, and some dice, which probably will not get used, as I have tons of thematic World War II dice. And here is a little plastic, looks like map overlays, and I suspect that this is used in Dice of Decision. So let's grab just one of these and take a look. I like that it's protected. Oh yeah, these are real paper thin, and that's why they were in this protective wrap, so they didn't want to get damaged in shipping. So overlay number 6, TK. So I'm imagining you would put this on your map as a result of whatever happens in Dice of Decision. So this is going to kind of require, though, that, and I normally don't use plexiglass when I play these, especially when I'm filming because of the gloss, but something that thin, I'm thinking you would have to have plexiglass to hold it down. Unless there's another way to hold it down I don't know of yet. Insert, which gets recycled. And finally the maps. They are paper. And if they weren't, the box would weigh 10 more pounds. It looks like there are 1, 2, 3, 4. We were told there were 4, so I'm assuming that each game will have 2 maps, which looks like that is exactly the case. I'm just going to grab one. We will not get all these on the table. And I don't know where I'm going to set something like this up if I ever attempt to play the full game. So you can't see that. We'll start at the bottom and I'll slide it down. So there's just some informational boxes here at the bottom, and then we actually get up into the map itself, which doesn't look all that bad. I'm reminded as I look at the mountain ranges, this reminds me of, if you've ever played, oh God, what is it, from Compass Games, what is the name of it? I think War for the Union is what I'm thinking of. It looks like the maps, the mountains on that map, so it's kind of like these craterous mountains. I'm not a big fan of that look. But overall, the map looks pretty darn good. And then at the top of this thing, you have, what is that? Turn track, of course. Terrain effects charts and the terrain key. So we will show you the other half of Totaler Krieg, the Eastern Europe map. Yeah, that does look like the mountains from. Yeah, and there's more of this. Let's start from the bottom. Does look like the maps from War for the Union. But not a bad looking map. This will look great set up on a table at a convention. And right now my plan is to attend and run a game at Buckeye Game Fest. So maybe this is the one I'll take. I don't know. That would be fun. And I'll show you just one of the Daisenso maps, since that should be a very different looking map. Maybe we'll show you both if we have time. Mostly ocean, as you would expect. And down to the little islands, little details here. Here's Phoenix Island here. And the Hawaiian Islands here, of course. Nice, nice, nice. Nothing on the backs of these. And let's just go ahead and look at the final Daisenso Asia map. And another look at those War for the Union mountains. Turn track is down here on the Daisenso game of the map. Weather area, so weather will play a factor in the game. War state display, and then you can see, of course, Russia and China and India. Delay DRMs, delay box, so that's cool. All right, well that's it. That's all I wanted to show you. I wanted to do a quick unboxing of not Daisenso, a quick unboxing of Axis Empires, the Ultimate Edition from Decision Games. Now, let's see, one thing we didn't do, and let's do it now. And let's take a quick look at the designer. the credits here in the back of this thing. So Ultimate, well, it doesn't even tell us who the designer is. It says the Axis Empire's Ultimate Edition development was from Thomas Prowell, but that's not the designer. The maps are by Joe Youst. I hope I'm saying that right. Box designer. So where is the game designer? So yeah, I guess that is the game designer. The Ultimate Edition development by Thomas Prowell. And looking at Die Senso behind me, I believe that is the case. So kind of an odd way to put it, development. So maybe he is the designer but had some other things to build on, or maybe he worked with other people. I do not know. I'm going to have to check that out. And we'll mention all that when I eventually get to a playthrough of this thing. So there you go. An unboxing of Axis Empires. I'm glad it's here. I can't wait to get into Dice of Decision and give that a try. I think that's really, really cool. And also the individually named ships are going to be cool. I've got so many grand strategic World War II games now. It is just not funny anymore. I've got this. I've got World in Flames. Of course, I've got Absolute Victory and a couple of other ones. And again, getting them to the table space is going to be a huge problem for me, but maybe we can get the Pacific or something in. Who knows? All right, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you back here next time.